So we've had a lot of fun recently, at least on like Instagram or short form videos, debunking self-defense. There's a lot of self-defense experts out there. There's a lot of interesting techniques out there. So we're going to debunk them. So here's 5 self-defense moves. I'll let you be the judge on whether or not you think they actually would work. Somebody's choking up against a wall and we're just going to sit here and wail on the ribs. Now, yes, if we're close quarters and I will good body hook to the body, you hit the liver and everything, yeah, I'm going to do some damage. But sitting out here, I don't know if she's trying to hit exact pressure points. The only thing I liked about this specific technique is once she made contact and he disengaged, like the teeth to kind of create that distance, that was good. But in reality, this isn't going to work, especially if we're talking small person to big person. Now, there's a few options. I'm going to show you one that works really well regardless of size, but for all my smaller viewers out there that always ask, well, how do we deal with a bigger person? We're going to hyper focus on one arm. Now, yes, somebody's choking you, they're up against the wall. I want to get control of some point, right? If they're in range where I can reach them, sure, I can throw an uppercut, I can throw overhands, do some damage, I can throw a kick to the groin. All of that's great. It may not end the fight, but it might loosen up the grip enough that I can pluck it, throw some more strikes, and we get out of there. Worst comes to worst, right? I need to hyper focus. One way that I like to do this is I'm going to pick one arm, I'm going to shoot both my hands up, lock my hands above, and as I bring my hands down, again, I'm aiming for around the elbow so that I can actually collapse the arm, not up by the wrist. As I bring my arms down on their elbow, I'm also going to drop my body and my weight at the same time and just crunch it all the way to my chest. From here, we're just applying damage and looking to get off the wall. I can throw in a good headbutt, I can start working elbows, I can clear them off the side, throw across, boom, kick, whatever I need to do, and we are getting the hell out of there as quickly as possible.
Grab the wrists, pinch the forearms, create space, foot on the hip, lock up the arm bar.
This is one I see a lot of people teaching for self-defense. And again, this technique works. It's great for sport. In street, especially if we're talking, sexual assault type situations, I want to get back to my feet as quickly as possible. So do I want to spend the time sitting here, working off their hips, turning off the side, throwing up and getting arm bars and stuff? No, sport, again, it's great. But what I do like from this is the fact that they are trying to isolate the chokes. I'm not looking to necessarily isolate one side. Yes, if I can start trying to pull down or pluck, whatever the case I can do to at least reduce the choking pressure, that's great. At this point, because I'm in guard, right, I'm going to immediately retract my knees to my body, post them on my hip, and start driving back. If it's one where I can just start pushing back and I can get my knees into the center and start throwing heavy kicks and start clearing that distance, that's going to be great. If it's one where I might need to start kind of incorporating sweeps a little bit more, we can also start doing that as well, where we start kind of working out here a little bit. Maybe I grab on top of the head, I can take one foot, kick out one of their knees, get them to a roll over. From here, I can throw a few strikes on top and we can get back to our feet and we get out there. Again, we're talking simple, straightforward self-defense. I'm not trying to linger around. Plus, if we are teaching new people self-defense, hitting that armbar from guard, it's a little complicated for somebody that's new. So instead, let's get our frames in there, let's get our feet in the position, do the damage we need to do, and get back to our feet safely.
Grabs into the waist. You're gonna try to drag me. So I'm gonna kind of sitting over his side, both hands on the mat, inside leg, control his ankle, pull. You can sit, bring his leg, you can break the leg.
This is another interesting one that, again, I see a lot of people teaching this. We brace out, we bend over, we grab the leg, we rip it up, and we do a knee bar. This does work, again, for sport, right? In sport, it's more common where we might be in a situation where he gets into a good spot, he's got a good back take position, maybe I'm posting back my arms a little bit, and you might actually find us in a little bit of a standstill where he's trying to wait for the right timing or the right moment to throw me, and that might be my opportunity where I can reach down. If we're talking in street, he's dragging me, he's picking up, he's pulling away. He's not just going to sit there and hold on, right? So first things first, if they do get this grab around you and you feel them starting to pick you up, again, little trick, I'm just going to look to weave my leg around his knee, use that as a leverage to get him to drop me. The moment we get back down, we start going to work. At this point, I want to base out, get heavy on my hips, and start putting my weight back on him. I'm trying to disengage his grip as much as possible and just weaken it, right? I can throw my head back, maybe I'll catch him a little bit and that might loosen it up. I wouldn't count on it, but what I want to do is hyper focus on one hand. I'm not trying to split my grip. I want to put both my hands on top of one of his hands, and as I base out, I'm going to start walking my hips and I'm putting all that pressure down until that grip breaks, right? It may not be easy. He may be really trying to pull you back and I have to constantly kind of drop my weight a little bit, but the more and more that I can put this pressure, I can also start kind of turning to the side a little bit. Once that grip's broken, again, it's time to do damage. Now, if I feel the need to just book it, you better be able to run fast. Otherwise, I'm going to turn, start throwing elbows, come around, throw punches, kicks, whatever I need to do to apply some damage, and then we are turning and we are booking it the hell out of there. Oh, the good old full Nelson. I really don't know why anyone would ever use this in a street. I don't think I've ever seen a legitimate street fight where I've seen a full Nelson, but yet people always want to teach us technique.
I'll make it happen.
Make it happen. All right, dude. Good. But this technique in particular, right, if he's really locking down, remember, the goal of this technique is to crank my head and my neck. It's not going to be super easy for me to just kind of like slip out, and actually that puts a lot more pressure on the neck. So again, first things first, I want to base out, I want to get heavy, I want to start driving my head up as much as possible to prevent him from driving my head down. Now, one way that I've always found that works pretty well, I take my hands together, I'm going to bring them to my forehead, and as again I'm start basing out, go ahead, lock it nice and tight. As I start basing out and driving my head up, I'm now going to take my elbows and start pinching my elbows together until that grip breaks. Now again, we're similar just like the bear grab that we just did. I can clear those grips and either just book it or we start applying damage. Now understand there are layers to self-defense, right? If I feel somebody coming up, I'm chatting over here, and I feel those arms come around me, I can easily start trying to pinch down if I can react fast enough. Again, comes with training, but if I can pinch and trap this fast enough, I might buy myself some time to turn around and maybe either grapple and I enter the clinch if I feel the need to, or again, we just apply damage. But like I said, who really actually does full Nelsons in reality anyways?
What are you gonna do?
It's so tight right now, your grip, I cannot even think straight, Brian.
You're gonna sink your chin right into the meat of my arm, right where all those tendons and pressure points are. And what you're gonna do is grab the back of your head with both of your hands, good, and you're just gonna sink right on down.
Wow.
So this one went really viral on our platform when we posted this one, and a lot of people were actually trying to defend that we were doing it wrong because I didn't have my chin in the right position to do this, right? First of all, if he's really ripping on this choke, even if I start trying to do this, it puts more pressure on the choke itself and it puts a lot of pressure on my jaw. And two, sure, there might be a pressure point somewhere in here that's uncomfortable. It's not something I'm gonna depend on, especially if somebody's ripping on this choke of like, okay, let me find the right spot. It's not something that's practical. The second thing people commented about was biting, right? Again, if the choke is already locked, there's no way in hell I'm able to bite it. If it's one where I feel the arm starting to come around my neck, and for whatever reason I move my mouth and I start biting on the arm, he's just gonna rip my jaw off. And even if I tuck my chin and he gets to the cross of my chin, same thing, it's gonna put a lot of pressure on my jaw. So trying to do any sort of biting is off the table. What we wanna do whenever somebody's getting a choke on us is I'm trying to get hands on right away, and again, I'm trying to get super heavy. The simplest way that I found, there's a lot of options. You can hip toss. I've seen people like pick themselves up and whip their feet down and try and toss themselves or break free from it as well. The simplest way that I found is essentially to turn it into a headlock. Still a bad position, but it's not as threatening as a rear naked choke, right? So if he's cranking on his choke, he's dragging me back, I'm gonna get heavy, take my outside leg, and look to just step nice and deep. Now from here, he can still crank on my head, right? But it's a lot better position for me to be in here, especially because I can start turning my head in, and that will relieve some of the choking pressure. And then again, from here, we have tons of options. I can either grab the hip, grab the knee, I can pick them up, slam them to the ground. I can take the hand and give them the good old dick twist, start twisting, grinding until the grip breaks free, pop my head out, and then again, we can apply damage. You also have a lot of other options, right? Let's say he chokes me and starts dragging me straight back, right? I can take a deep step, turn right away, maybe sweep him down from there. So depending on your experience, you can throw in a few more options. But at the end of the day, anytime somebody's choking you, right, first thing I want to do is start fighting that choking arm. And if I'm able to, again, react fast enough, I might be able to get into a position like this where I can quickly just pop my head out, create some space, and again, safely protect myself from there. But pressure points as a whole, sure, they might exist in the classroom and in some disciplines, but it's not something that I would trust 100% in the street. So there you have it, 5 self-defense moves debunked. Stay tuned for part 2. Stay safe.